sending down the dew, the wind and the rain, sustaining those who live with devotion, resurrecting the dead with great
Lady Grace, Ela, Red, Janice, Carrie, Kaya, Threegia, Confinement, Yodhe, Bill, Tessie, Sayman, Kay Schaefer, Lady, Jazz, Tanker, Lady Grace, Deb, T-Bone, Mr., Connie. Good morning, good morning. Rocket, Ridgeback, David with the extended platform of what God is doing. The fax machine that's going to keep going. Facts of power. We're pregnant. Did you know that? Did you know we're pregnant? I got to turn off my own. We're pregnant. We're pregnant. Do you know what happens to you when you're pregnant? Oh my gosh, you're so completely out of control. But wait, I'm out of control when I hear this. This is my album with all top LA jazz musicians. This guy, he's killer. This is Billy Kerr. Oh wait, no. This is Katis Buckingham. Come on, Katis, give it up. I got to play with these guys. Okay, check out this. This is Michael Lang. I'll tell you about him in a minute. He is solid gold. Super well known in Hollywood. The Lord deserves this sound, don't you think? Thanks, Threegia. This is short, but check it out.
Who is like you?
Who's like you?
Capable of acts of power. Who can compare with you?
They saw the album.
Our King who causes death and resurrects. Faithful who resurrect the dead. Blessed are you, O Lord, who revives.
So let me just tell you about this, and then we're going to get right into it because, you know, pregnant women, pregnant people have a lot going on, and we were a pregnant people. And it is all about the increasing level of crisis in us. But this album was just a treat. Michael Lang, Katis Buckingham, who did the flute solo, incredible. Michael Lang, a Jewish guy who's played in, he sent me his bio 4 years ago, and he had stopped adding to it many years before that. But the bio hey Greg, the bio he sent me, I sent you a direct message, Greg, that I need an answer for. The bio he sent me was at least 15 pages single spaced of every album and movie he had played on. This guy. And, you know, accompanist for, you know, Barbra Streisand or you name it, Willie Nelson, anybody in the whole world. He is on this album. Jewish guy. And he was totally blown away that a little Gentile girl from Bakersfield, California had taken ancient Jewish prayer and set it to jazz music. And when they asked me, who are you and why are you doing this? I said, I'm just little Julie Lavender from Bakersfield, California, but I'm here to give you your prayers back. I'm here to tell you you are carrying something for the nations. That's the background of this whole thing. And check it. It's just killer musicianship. You know, and I wrote some great music. It was like a download from heaven, but there you go. I'll play it quietly in the background. All right, guys, I've talked to you before about we need the roadmap of where we are in the process. In the book, I was telling you, women love this book, What to Expect When You're Expecting. Because if you know you've got a 9-month, it's actually 10 lunar months. Did you know that? When you're pregnant, it's 10 lunar months. We get this idea that we're pregnant for 9 months, and then you get pregnant and you look at the calendar and you count 40 weeks and you think, wait a minute, that's not 9 months. That's longer than 9 months, right? Talk to any pregnant woman who figures out that her pregnancy isn't just 9 months. It's 10 lunar months of pregnancy. And everything about pregnancy is about crisis and disequilibrium. Let me read to you the definition of these things, okay? Because equilibrium is a state of intellectual or emotional balance. It's also a state of adjustment where there's proper pressure between opposing or divergent influences. There's a balance, there's a core strength, right? When you are pregnant, your body is in constant disequilibrium. It means that one force is opposing another force, and you're constantly having to adjust to the new reality that something is growing in you. Katisse Buckingham. Come on, praise the Lord, glory. Anyway, something's in you, growing in you. You have no control over, zero control. It's growing and it's taking over your body. This thing is taking you over in every way, shape, or form, and it will change every area of your life. This is crisis. A crisis is considered a turning point, and it's an emotionally significant event or radical change of status in a person's life. So, pregnancy, bearing fruit, bringing forth, awakening, planetary shift is the ultimate form of communal crisis, right? Communal crisis, however, with purpose. There have been times in history when we have been through major communal crises where God's purpose is always expanding, right? But there has not been this pregnant sense that we've ever had, I think, in this season. The pregnant sense that we're bringing something forth, that there's a purpose in it. And check that out. Did you see the Q post where he did the icebergy deal? And it was like, how much under the iceberg, this is what's showing. This is what the media is allowing us to see. This is how much of the iceberg. And here's the level of mass under the surface in 2016. So maybe let's call that second trimester. Now we have level of awareness of the iceberg, and now 2000 moving into 2020, the mass underneath is huge, and you can feel the swelling inside of our national womb, our emotional, consciousness. There's something swelling in us and increasing in us and groaning in us. And that doesn't even, account for the external pressures that any pregnant woman might experience just from things that she can't control on the outside. But let's consider it this way. Where are we? It's going to be a full lunar 10 months. And if you think about when the crisis of COVID started, and when even probably starting from the end of the impeachment, there's been a pregnancy launched. What we see are the swollen ankles and the hemorrhoids and the varicose veins and the sleeplessness and the back pain and the ligament pain and the heartburn and the swelling and that's what we experience. That's what we experience, okay? But and out of that, we're so tempted to interpret everything. And, it's possible actually for a woman to not even know she's pregnant in some cases and to go, what the heck is happening to me, right? But we know we're carrying something. We know there's a birthing happening. We know, and there's tons of external stuff that we could focus on right now, because that would freak any pregnant woman out, having, this much crisis. And I spoke to you yesterday and I said, Pentecost, by its very nature, unleashes the cabal of hell. Pentecost is a clash of narratives. The gospel story for the nations, the fire, the power that's being unleashed, even maybe under the surface, and that by its very nature unleashes the defensive posture of hell against it. And when you see that, you go, oh my gosh, we're praying for a Pentecost, and and what comes, like an unleashing of what feels offensive, but it's really defensive. Shavuot and what God did on Mount Sinai was offensive. He took people out of slavery and he said, now you're going to go in and take those nations. You're going to kick out the ites, all the ites, and I'm going to give you the power and the document and the truth and my presence so you'll know who you are. Another really cool track from my album. I love groove, you know. Anyways. And God is doing that. That's offensive. He's moving into the lands that are occupied by the pagan death cult religions of the day that are even related in some of these cultures to the Nephilim and the Rephaim that are talked about in the days of Noah. And God is going in to take it back. That's totally offensive. Donald Trump is totally offensive in so many ways, isn't he? The movement, the MAGA movement, is an offensive movement. Pentecost was offensive. Jesus rose from the dead. He spoke to his disciples and he unleashed something, and they immediately go from defending themselves into offense. We are in an offensive movement. We are in a pregnant phase, and inside of us is an offensive thing growing and growing, whether we discern it properly or not, based on that sort of underneath current of the iceberg, right? Although a woman will feel like an iceberg, like a big old iceberg. And if you don't understand what's happening to your body during pregnancy, you can feel almost like it's your enemy. Things like, for example, swelling throughout the feet and ankles. That's because your body is losing extra hydration to loosen up everything so you'll be ready for pregnancy. The ligaments around the pelvis begin to ache because they're releasing so that baby can come forth. The varicose veins and things, your blood flow increases by 50% when you're pregnant. Your sleep is disturbed. I used to feel almost like I almost felt claustrophobic, like something was, because the compression of the baby against my lungs, it was hard to breathe. Think about it. Think about all the things that we associate with pregnancy that are difficult or uncomfortable. Even the heartburn and stuff, you ladies. It's because all of the ligatures and the tissues are loosening and increasing. And then there's this thing called Braxton Hicks. This is like, guys, we're probably mid-trimester, finishing up trimester 2 in a pregnancy process, okay? And it's supposed to be the glory trimester. It's supposed to be the time when our hair looks the best and our nails are the strongest and we're the prettiest. But there can be a lot of things that go on in that second trimester that are really uncomfortable too. And then you get into trimester 3, and most women are like, I just want this over with. But it increases. The pressure, the expanding is increasing and increasing. It's continual crisis, continual disequilibrium. And as the heart of God, we need to understand that even if you take out all the stuff happening around us, we are in the midst of a major offensive. Jesus was an offensive move. Holy Spirit invades his mother, and then out comes the Messiah. And from that point on, you see offense. God is on the offense, and he's getting his earth back. Then there's that crisis of the cross. What does that mean? But it's always been offensive. It's always been offensive. And we are in a time when we are actually a part of an offensive move to take the planet back. It really hasn't happened, probably since the American Revolution or since the cross. Think about it. This is a move for those of you who are deep into the weeds on this, gone down the rabbit hole, taken your red pill. You know this is a global movement. You know this is a global spiritual warfare. You know that there are high-level Elohim, demonic powers and authorities raging over the control of the planet. You know that actually the head was crushed in 2016, but the tail is wagging. That snake, that serpent tail slapping back and forth can be more dangerous than the actual bite of a cobra, the death knell of a serpent tail, right? Like if I'm going out, everybody's going out with me. And so we have actually been, but we're waking up to the offensive nature, the taking back nature of what we're doing. We are, as a planet, as a people, especially as a people of God, we're pregnant with an offensive move to loose and bring something forth into the earth. The restoration of law and order, justice, righteousness, the American mind, breaking the brainwashing off, the exposure of, and the setting free of the treasures in the darkness. You and I read and pray Isaiah 45 for the president. It says that God will give him the treasures of the darkness. Are those the children? Are those the trafficked children? Think about what's happening around us. And it's not just a play for the United States, it's for the earth. And it's amazing because when a woman becomes really pregnant, she looks like the earth. She looks like she's carrying the earth right there. And it changes her entire center of gravity. It changes hormones like are loosed in all these weird ways. It can change everything from your skin tone to, how your hair grows. I mean, it's like the freaking Wild West in a woman's body. But what can you learn from a mother? You can learn that if a mother understands and is invested, every bit of disequilibrium and crisis she knows is bringing her closer to the birth. Every experience, and you'll see mothers with great patience. They'll because normally you can take a pill to make a symptom go away, right? So what can you do about sleeplessness? Well, you can't. Let me see. I'm not supposed to drink, and I'm not supposed to take my alcohol. I mean, CBD would be awesome, right? Greg. But what I'm saying is, she's not able to go in jacuzzis. She has to not do this. She has to be careful of that. She has to maybe not use hair color. She has to do all these things that are restricting her. And yet you'll see women have such resilience and patience. And they'll even say to you, even if they're like a little nutty, like people who are super worried about everything, like, I don't want to do that because, I was not like a worrywart like that. And even if you know that maybe they're just being a little bit too freaked out, you're amazed at the degree to which that woman will buy into everything she needs to change, to do, and prepare because the baby's coming. The baby's coming, and she's patient, and she puts up with the discomfort and the disequilibrium, and she goes and does extra things. She'll exercise, and she'll eat differently, and she'll prepare herself. And with every change that literally takes over her body and fills her with fluid and pumps 50% more blood through her and changes how often she has to pee all the time, right? And even in the second trimester, there's this thing where women get vivid dreams in the second trimester. Wow. And let me tell you I had vivid dreams that I gave birth to a chicken. I know there's an interpretation, right? I have not quite figured it out, and it was many, many years ago, so if it's a relationship to my issues, I think I'm over it. At that time, I was very fearful. Maybe that's what it was, right? But I'm saying vivid dreams, stretching, swelling, back pain. Why? The uterus is pressing against the back. I mean, this woman's out of control. There's nothing she can do. But watch a woman in love with what's coming from her, and you'll see patience, resilience, strength, focus, vision. Let's learn something from that. Guys, this is our time to say we're giving birth. And if you mark a pregnancy right up to November 4th, you'll see we're in a 40 week thing going on here. And you'll see that Pentecost was released because we're on the offense. Pentecost is offensive, and it always shakes up the powers. Even Peter said in Acts 4 when he quotes Psalm 2, he lists all the cabal of Jerusalem: Herod, Pontius Pilate, the high priests, the nations, the Israelites, one of my favorites. Sorry. Makes me cry. again, this is Rising. You could, bunch of you ordered this yesterday. I'm so excited. I can't ship to Singapore though, I have to tell you that. So what I'm saying is, guys, is crisis trauma? Yes. Are there things traumatizing about pregnancy? Yes. And let me tell you what you need to understand about that. And maybe that relates to how I'd like to do a little prayer with this. Okay. I had midwives when I was pregnant, and one of my children was a home birth. And there's this thing that'll happen where a woman fails to progress in childbirth and she stalls out. And a doctor may rush to a cesarean section or something like that. But a midwife will allow a woman who's come to a place of stagnation, or when she's having an emotional crisis in the midst of her pregnancy process, a midwife will watch for that and use that as an opportune time and opportunity for that woman to get healed. In my very first pregnancy, I had an unnecessary cesarean by a doctor who just started to terrorize me 4 hours into pushing my first child out. And I did have a lot of emotional issues. This is a military woman doctor who didn't know anything about the kind of needs that I had holistically in childbirth. So she did her cesarean and all that stuff. Well, this too much information, I'm sorry, maybe you don't care. But my second child was a restoration for me of empowering for my body, because the first experience was totally disempowering, okay? We've experienced that as Americans. We've tried to go on the offensive. We've brought forth some things, but it's been disempowering, okay? What you experience in an earlier pregnancy process will affect your outcome and your experience of another birth. So in my second pregnancy, I did a regular birth after cesarean, which can be risky and scary, because the doctors like to scare you and say that if you've had a cesarean, you shouldn't do it the natural other way. But I went in and my midwife helped me see what I was so afraid of, what I was expecting, where I had stalled, where I had been disappointed, where I felt like my body betrayed me and the medical system betrayed me. And I did this whole artwork of this woman, actually giving birth, because I needed to see it and I needed to heal from it. Guys, we've had other pregnancies and there's been miscarriages in the justice process. The miscarriage of justice. Wow, how's that for powerful? I didn't think of that pun. We've experienced the miscarriage of justice. We've experienced abusive birth processes, both in the church and in the world. We've experienced disempowering systems, and somehow God is on the earth and he's always bringing forth things, and we've been a part of it. But we've never been the empowered people that basically say, I'm owning this pregnancy. I have enough. We're bringing this thing forth. And women who move from disempowerment, pain, sometimes sexual abuse comes up in pregnancy. Did you know that? Sexual abuse very often can stall a woman's emotional readiness for her child, and it can stall a live childbirth. Meaning where it's right in the midst. A woman can stall if she's experienced sexual abuse. Her natural childbirth will stall. Now, in a hospital, they might just give you Pitocin and make you get through it. Okay? But what happens with a midwife who understands, and things come up and a woman will weep and cry and need healing? That is very much the process of holistic childbirth. And if you're being birthed with a midwife at your side, that midwife will do absolutely everything she can to empower you. She'll teach you all about your body, everything that's happening, all the risks, why they happen, what can happen that nobody can prevent, what can happen and be prevented if you're closer to the hospital versus if you're at home, what kind of infections. When I went did childbirth by midwife, she educated us in everything and empowered us, and she taught me how to appreciate and work with my body. I'm a spiritual midwife here. Others are around us. We've got Mary Grace, we got Andrea, we got Pepper, we got Dave, we got Greg, we got so many people that are spiritual midwives. Dave is like the educate. Let me tell you the medical. let me tell you, here's the roadmap, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to give you the news, just the news. I'm going to stay calm. And, he's giving facts that a person giving birth needs to understand. They understand the risk, they understand the liabilities, they understand the responsibilities. And then you have the other people who are inspiring passion in that woman and saying, you can do it. And then there are those, like, I think I'm kind of like the midwife that goes, here's what you're going to experience in your body. And when that happens, here's how you need to breathe. And you need to know exactly what's stretching in you for this childbirth. So realize that every breath matters. You really can have power. And here's what I'll tell you about. If a woman freaks in the middle of childbirth and starts like panicking, totally derails the birth process, because I even had a midwife basically tell a friend whose birth I watched, calm down, stop it, because the girl was starting to freak out. Why? Because the midwife said every bit of energy you have needs to go into focusing and breathing, waiting, pushing in the right time, waiting in another time, and focusing and being aware that your body is working with you. Your body's supporting you. Your body is answering the call for this birth. And midwives will work with a pregnant woman, a pregnant people, and say, you cannot afford to panic. You cannot afford not to deal with your issues. You can't afford to drink, smoke, take your drugs, do whatever. You have to be so psyched. And every trimester it's a little different, because you're going to be in constant disequilibrium as your body changes. Like 1 week you kind of get one change, and then another week up go these hormones and back come these, and here comes the blood flow and all this stuff. Constant. But you watch a woman who's pregnant and who understands the beauty of what she's doing, and who's been empowered with the resources. We are, let me tell you this tribe right here is the most empowered group of people on the internet. I'm going to tell you right now, between the people I listen to some Dilly and to some James R. and some Bill Mitchell and all these other guys I mentioned. And when somebody tells me, don't pay attention to X, I'm like, great. I don't need to go there. I don't need to upset myself and worry. And we have so much information. We have so many midwives around us right now. And some of them are telling us, stop it, snap out of it. You don't have time for that. You're pregnant, and it feels terrible. It's uncomfortable, but you're pregnant. It's the thing. And then there's prophetic people, right? The prophetic people who do the ultrasounds. And they look in the womb and they show you the pictures and say, see, here it is. Is an ultrasound really clear to see? No, but it gives you the outline. And you go, oh my gosh, it's a boy. It's a girl. Oh, look at the fingers, and you can watch him. And then you have your spiritual sense. The Holy Spirit is allowing you to feel the baby move, isn't he? Holy Spirit is giving you. The baby's moving. You're sensing it. You're feeling it. You have around you the best team of midwives I can even think of anywhere in the world who are helping you, aiding you, slapping you around, and helping you stay focused. And but nothing is going to surpass the importance of the mother. Although I'll tell you that daddy speaking into that tummy is really important. You want your baby coming out knowing the sound of its father's voice. And we have Father over us, speaking into us, right? And but what I'm saying is, if a mother is anxious and worried, she can create anxiety in that child. Children can be traumatized in the womb from the traumas of parents. So what I'm saying is that you are pregnant. We are pregnant. We are a pregnant people. We're on the offensive. This is Pentecost. We're taking the world back. We're taking the justice system back, the culture, the banking system, the whole thing. And we're just a big old fat iceberg. There's more of us than of them. This, and we just feel like a big old fat iceberg floating around. And there's a lot of stuff coming at us, but I want you to turn inward. I want you to turn inward to the expanding kingdom of God, what God is getting ready to release. There's going to be a major birth on November 3rd or whatever it is. And will it hurt a little bit after the birth, people? Or is it all just fun when the baby comes? I don't know. It was very painful for me after my childbirth. And then there's the recontraction of your body. And then there's the late night feedings. And hello? We're all like, let's get this thing out. It'll be just fine. Let me tell you, fasten your seatbelts, because there's nothing like the first 8 weeks with your new baby until it learns to sleep through the night. Come on. We're going to have to parent a whole new thing in the earth. What do we learn from mothers? Patience, vision, focus, determination, also the ability to heal over past trauma. Can you receive healing now for all the times you've been disappointed by authority figures, the Justice Department? Let me tell you something. Our family has been so screwed by the legal system in the state we lived in before. Totally screwed. And we were told we were in the right. And we were basically held hostage and ripped off to, I don't even know how to tell you how much money. Because, look, can we heal over that? Can we heal over all the times we thought it was going to be better and it wasn't better? Can we heal over the times that people told us today the arrests are happening, the perp walks are tomorrow, and it didn't happen? Can we heal over all the disempowering things and get focused on being ready so that when the hour of the birth is here, that we're not stalled in our pain and our fear, we're focused? Can you allow people to train you and teach you how to work with that childbirth so that you push when the contractions are happening? If you push when there's no contractions, man, what a waste of time. Some of us are pushing and we're not even in the third trimester. Education, empowerment, self-care, healing, focus, determination. These are the skills. What do I tell you? Fear-free living is a life skill, and it is learned. Birthing a Great Awakening, the skills needed for that are trained into us. We develop the skill of living in an hour when we are all pregnant. Let me play this for you. Receive this. Receive peace right now. You need it for your pregnancy. You need to be a peaceful mother.
Our King and Master of all, peace, and it is good in your eyes to bless your people Israel in every moment.
Ça va toi? Vous allez bien? Receive it. Peace. A peaceful mother transfers that to the process of the developing child. Trauma, go now. In Jesus' name. Disappointment, go. Betrayal, go. Disempowerment, go. Fear, go. Bitterness over old disappointments, go. Be forgiven. Release forgiveness. You're mad at God for the way things haven't gone in the past. Be free. Blessed are you, O Lord, who blesses his people, Israel, with peace. For a pregnant mom, despite how many external crises may be going on, the greatest part of the process is internal. The awareness of what is growing, the awareness of the life, the awareness of the change and managing the change and working with the change. Perhaps, my friends, it would do us well to keep the greatest focus of our intention right now, not on the crisis around us, but the crisis within us. The crisis meaning the state of sudden change, increase, disequilibrium. in us in the sense that this is a God thing, not that we're staring at our navels. Do you get what I'm saying? Focusing on what is being birthed. There's a movement coming. There's a shift coming. We're on the offensive. The fire of God is in the earth. Let's stay focused on what we really are bringing forth. No one else can carry into the earth what you and I carry as believers. No one else can carry it. We must do it. And the best birthers are going to be remnant people who are being coached by great midwives, not disempowered by religious systems. Okay? And when we rejoice in the childbirth, we're going to be in a process of raising a squirmy, scrawly, needy little kid. And what will we have? Love, determination, passion for what we've been a part of bringing forth into the earth. All right, now go do something. Embrace the changes you feel that scare you. Lean into them. Stay on the offensive. Preach the gospel. Raise the dead. Cleanse the lepers. Put your feet up. Pregnant woman. And I will see you. And if you like my album, go to julielavender.com and order it that way. All right.